So we have just a little bit of a delay. They switched out all the software on the computer, so we're missing our recording software. So we do have the video recording working, sort of. And Jason's trying to get a backup audio recording working. So we'll get going here in a minute. Thanks. No, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. And, okay, and also I was just going to let you know that we're going to cancel the April 2nd meeting. We don't have any business cases, and we were looking at study session items, but they're all still kind of vague right now, so we just thought it probably wasn't a great use of your time. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we work inside. Great. Trying to take those things ahead. For my sons, they said use it in the car to practically got moved out. And I didn't think much about it. The first part of the car, practically sprayed with snow. We sprayed it over the snow, about 4 feet of snow. And then it covers it from the barn. So you know what I mean? Oh, no. They're going to say.
Okay, we do have the entire Planning Commission here. Welcome all of you, to our Tuesday, March 19th, 2019, regular meeting of the Planning Commission. And we do have a quorum, and our first item of business will be approval of the minutes from February 19th. If we have some changes or corrections.
Madam Chair, the February 19th minutes, there's just a typo. It's on page 3, and it's the 5th paragraph from the top. It's the 8th line down. It says Masood, it should read was before the PC in full transparency.
Okay, so we need to change the word to was.
That's correct.
Okay. So noted. Any other corrections? We have a motion for approval.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes as amended.
With a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Chaplin seconds the motion to approve as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The second item is to consider for approval the minutes from March 5th, 2019. Any corrections to the March 5th?
Madam Chair, I have one correction. It's on page 5. It's the 3rd paragraph. The speaker's name was Wesley Pollard, W-E-S-L-E-Y.
Without the T?
That is correct.
Very good. We have a motion for approval with as amended.
So moved.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're flipping the items on the agenda and are going to consider the Rangeview Metropolitan District water line first. It's case LE 18-008, and Molly Oakwood Larson will represent the county.
Good evening, Commissioners. Molly Oakwood Larson, Senior Planner with the Public Works Department. The County Attorney has reviewed the public notice and has determined that the applicant has met all the notice requirements, thereby establishing jurisdiction. What's before you this evening is the Rangeview Metropolitan District water pipeline location and extent. The applicant is Rangeview Metropolitan District. The applicant is proposing an approximately 6,250-foot long, 12-inch water line to be located along East 6th Avenue, commencing at East Van Driver Way to the existing storage pond situated at the southwest corner of East 6th Avenue and Haysmont Road. The pipeline is to transport treated water from the approved wastewater treatment plant and Sky Ranch Neighborhood B to the existing storage pond for the oil and gas industry to use the water, and also the future Sky Ranch development. Staff recommends this application to be approved based on the findings in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions for me.
Any questions?
Okay, and then the applicant does have one slide.
Okay.
All right, I'll have Mark come up.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Harding. My address is 5530 South Forest Lane here in Greenwood Village. And I appreciate your time and attention this evening. As Molly had indicated, and I'd like to thank Molly and staff, Sue, Jason, and Jan, for their assistance with this L&E, but relatively straightforward. It's a reused pipeline. It will take water from our water reclamation facility, which will be sewerage flows through the community. It's not just this particular phase of Sky Ranch, but it will be the full phase. So this is our master plan site for both the wastewater and then how we would control a separate irrigation system for all the irrigation demands at the community. And so what we look to do is the wastewater treatment facility will be a zero discharge facility. So 100% of the water that goes in there that gets treated will be brought back to the storage reservoir and then will be repurposed and used either through irrigation demand needs or for other industrial demand needs. So it's just that simple.
I have one question. The Bennett Watkins Fire Rescue requested installation of fire hydrants. Is that something that was considered?
It was, and so what we have is a hydrant agreement with Bennett Fire, and this would not be the right line for that because this is an interim flow line, and so we don't want the fire department to come up and connect to a line if that's not a pressurized charge line 100%. And he said, no, I get it, just as long as you're still conforming to all of the hydrant locations that we agreed into our IGA. So we do still have a standing IGA with them, and all the hydrants will be met for that requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I did have a question. CenturyLink had indicated that, and you had agreed to pay the cost of any reload for, I imagine there's fiber, and I don't know whether it's running along the whole length, and that was going to be my question to you. Do you know where the fiber run is that they were concerned about?
Yes. Yeah. So, yes, we are aware of the fiber. This does not conflict with the fiber. It crosses it at a 90-degree angle, which is what you always want in terms of those utility crosses. So we're in our own private easement that we've got dedicated from the landowner. The district was able to get those easements dedicated from the landowner, which is outside the footprint of the fiber.
Okay, that's great, because that was, my concern.
Yeah.
The way that they had indicated that if a reload was necessary, that you would pay for it. So I thought I should explore that a little bit more. So
Yep. No, it is not, and we are in an independent right-of-way.
okay. Thank you.
You bet.
I have one other general question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it. When county engineering reviews and they make comments or other referrals make comments, your consultant just would say acknowledged, which to me, you acknowledging something doesn't mean you necessarily comply with it. Is that?
I would say it does, or at least that's our intent of the acknowledgement. Some of them are rhetorical questions that say, okay, you have to do this, and we're like, acknowledge, we have to do that.
Okay.
That's our intent of.
Well, there can be follow through. You're not just saying we read your statement.
Oh, no. It's yes, we agree with your comment. Usually, the only time we do that is when we read that comment to be interpretive of you understand you have to do this. Yes, we do understand we have to do this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you for your
Very much.
attention.
Well, I guess we will open the public hearing. If anybody is here and wishes to come forward, I don't see anybody. So we will open and close it. So are there any other questions for staff on this? Or we can move forward?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, Mrs. Latsis, thank you very much.
In the case of LE 18-008, Rangeview Metropolitan District Phase 4 location and extent, I've reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and any public comment as presented at the hearing, and hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to conditions 1 through 3.
Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Brummel. The motion has been seconded by Mr. Brummel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Very good. Richard? Okay. So, the next item on our agenda is election of officers, which I guess our bylaws require, although we haven't had a whole slate of officers. I don't think we've ever had that. Not in my time. So anyway, is anybody interested in nominating someone or
I nominate Jane to continue as chair.
I can second that.
There was a second.
Yeah, a second.
All those in favor?
All right. All right. Were we supposed to have a chairman pro tem? Do we care?
Well, we need one.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to be the runner-up?
I want to nominate Catherine Latsis for the pro tem position.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of Catherine being chairman pro tem? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And I don't think we need a secretary.
Yeah, me neither.
We have
No.
county. We have you.
Secretary unless you want to pick somebody.
No, we so moved. You and Jason are
Amazing job.
rotating secretaries. Okay, well, that was quick. Does anybody else think we need any other candidates? No? Okay. Done.
Yeah, before we adjourn, was that everything on the agenda? I think it was. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and let's see, we already have your signature and initials. So Catherine, we'll need to get your signature and initials before you leave so that Terry can get a stamp made. So that if you're acting as chair and the planning commission approves something, then we can stamp the plans.
Ooh, no one told us you could have a stamp.
We can't.
Wow.
Let me clarify. We can't have a stamp. Terry can have a stamp.
I noticed on the county commissioner agenda for the day that the county was closed and you guys were getting drifted, that all the appointments for all the committees in the county were on there, including the planning commission, but I noted that Mr. Brummel's name was not on the list.
So that was my next thing I'm coming to. I won't say we're suffering confusion. I'm suffering from confusion.
Okay.
We're suffering from a lack of clarity on exactly what was accomplished and what the intent was between my being out for 2 weeks, our cyclone bomb storm or whatever it was called, BOCC staff then being out Friday, and board chair being out this week. Our communications have been a lot like that storm, just, kind of fruitless. But so the statute, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, the statute, I think, says that planning commissioners serve until the end of an expired term and until a new appointment is made. but the resolution is very non-specific, and I have not been able to communicate with the commissioners, so that's something we're going to get ironed out. Mark's term was expired, and I don't know, they did not appoint anyone new.
Well, there was nobody new on there.
No, there was no one new appointed.
So basically, the way the statute reads, since Mark's term is expired, an successor hasn't been appointed, you're still able to serve until a successor is appointed, or
It's lifetime.
That little comment you made one day about I'll do it until they find someone new, you might be here the rest of your life. Yeah. But so anyway, we'll get that cleared up when Commissioner Baker gets back into town. But in the meantime, we just thought we'd take tonight to just kind of say thank you to everybody. You guys work so hard, and I know we don't celebrate that very often, and I just really appreciate all the hard work and time and dedication, not only that you put in, but then your families do without you, when you're preparing for these meetings and when you're attending these meetings. And that really means a lot to staff, it means a lot to the commissioners, it means a lot to the citizens, even if they don't always seem happy with you. It's a really tough job, and it's a really important job. And I think the board staff is really overwhelmed right now. They've had a lot of turnover. They've got new people trying to figure out what's been done in the past, catch up, get everything prepared for moving forward. And I think I'm their least favorite person right now, because I call them or email them like twice a week going, is there a list? Can you tell me what's going on? And so they really have not gotten any of their paperwork done as far as sending out letters to people, letting them know what's going on, calling people. So we haven't gotten a final resolution. That sometimes takes a while. They still have not done appointments for the Eastern Arapaho Advisory Planning Commission, which is that group that the individuals act as referral agencies, so you see comments from them in your staff reports for projects in the East County. They still have not done that group, so they did sort of chunk them out a little bit into different meetings this time. I think they've just all been kind of overwhelmed by the whole process. So I apologize for the confusion. Well, I wasn't going to use that word. Apologize for the lack of clarity on exactly what's going on. But in the meantime, indulge your sweet tooth or your salty tooth, whatever you've got over here. Also, I wanted to make another unfortunate announcement. Some of you know Alan Snyder, some of you don't. He worked with our zoning division up until he retired in October, worked with Tammy King for many, many years. He passed away this weekend, unexpectedly. Brian Weimer, our director since Dave Schmidt retired, heard about it on Saturday, communicated it out to some of us on Sunday, and they're still trying to figure out what happened. Probably a heart attack, but I think he'd been not feeling that great the last week or so, and anyway, a friend couldn't get hold of him and called 911, and he had passed away. So I'm very sorry to have to relay that news. It's pretty much everybody in our office is in a shock. I can't believe this is only Tuesday. It just seems like the longest week ever. But did want to let you know about that, as I figure some of you have at least crossed paths with Alan at times in the past. I think I mentioned earlier that we're just going to cancel April 2nd. So enjoy your Tuesday evening.
So even if we're not officially reappointed, we're all good for this meeting, right?
I'm going to let Bob and Jeff and Commissioner Baker, kind of work that out and tell us, like, what was the board intending to do? Was the intent that, I think the intent is they're recruiting for someone new, but is the intent that Mark will continue to serve until there is someone new?
Okay, well,
As I said, I just was really unsuccessful in getting concrete information out of anyone over the last few weeks, so,
You need to call your county commissioner.
Well, they've been calling me, and I was supposed to have a call with him on 2 o'clock Friday, like I told you.
yeah.
And after I talked to you today, I got an email from his secretary that said that was no longer necessary.
okay, so you're in.
I don't know what that is.
Great.
Actually, we just don't know. Until Commissioner Baker gets back, I just don't know what to say.
They're driving right down the middle of the street with that one.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to say that I have been exposed to different planning commissions and been a part of one over the last, I think 8 years or whatever, and I just appreciate all of you. You guide me when I forget the public hearing. I really appreciate us all working together. And I actually read the bylaws before I came tonight. They're quite valuable to read, and it reminded me about the public hearing. But I appreciate all your, especially my motion makers, and your detailed reading of the minutes. It helps. So thank you very much. And you can interrupt me and poke me anytime. Or take over.
I think we have a great planning commission. I think you all just work so well together. And
It would be, in my opinion, the wrong time to have anybody replaced. So I think we work well together. I agree. It's taking a little bit of time, but I don't want to mess with something that works. So you can pass that on.
to a certain extent, we have to leave that up to Mark, too. So.
Oh,
Mark
Mark is a
can
good
tell us all
choice.
about the humans running around Eastern County.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you guys get the real drift. We don't know what that's like.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to be out there when it does what it did last week.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want the power to stay on.
Yeah.
I just think it's really important, Mark, you've been out there for how many years? That
47.
exactly, and you bring the perspective in here, and you give us the history, and you know what's going on out there, and I am reluctant to make decisions about what goes on in the eastern part of Arapahoe County without you here at this table. And so you could pass that on too.
No, he's got the history, I don't.
But you know what the people, what matters.
Yeah.
And you have to teach us, and we will listen to you.
Honestly, we had a study session with the board, it's been months ago now, about, we just sort of wanted to get ahead of the curve on appointments and, remind them of how important planning commission is and board of adjustment and, that we really need people who can commit time and energy and learn the codes and understand development and that sort of thing. And so I was trying to research all the records from when people are appointed, and that's one of the things that sort of fell apart, I think, and with all the turnover in staff that they've had, is that we can't find those records. So how long have you been here, Mark? 15 years? Because I've been here 12 in April, and I know you were here before I was.
I think the only person that was here when I came was, I can't remember.
Was Paul Rosenberg or?
Paul was here when I got here, but
Leah Martin's dad.
he came after.
He came after.
When I first was on the commission.
Trying to think who was already here when I started. Arnold Hayton. Yeah, Arnold Hayton was here when I started. Can't remember who else. Yeah.
You just have to educate us about what's going on.
A long time. But anyway, I do apologize that we're not, we don't have our acts together quite yet. So,
It's fine.
we'll get on it. Again. When Commissioner Baker gets back.
Because I know Commissioner Baker was the one who wanted us not to be lifetime appointments.
Well, that was actually a board discussion at last year. Jason and Caitlin and I just kind of started something new 2 years ago. We felt like the process was kind of loosey-goosey, and we'd had some new commissioners come on board. We just really felt like we needed to communicate to them what the needs were for some really specific boards and commissions, primarily Planning Commission, also Board of Adjustment, also this Eastern Advisory Planning Commission, and then we also have responsibility for the Weed Advisory Board, and then the Building Division, which is also in Public Works, has responsibility for what's called the Board of Review, and those are for variances from building code issues. So our department has a pretty heavy load of citizen boards and commissions, and we just felt like we needed to do more communicating with the board about what we needed. And so when we went and had that study session like a year and a half ago, so kind of 2 cycles back on appointments, there was a lot of discussion at that point in time about the fact that term limits had not really been recognized. You know, it's pretty much like, be thankful you've got good people who are willing to serve and don't worry about finding new people. And it was really a consensus of the board that they wanted to try to get back to the original intent. They did, at that point in time, make the term longer. I think it used to be a 2-year term, and now it's a 3-year term. So it kind of balanced out a little bit. They wanted to go back to term limits, but they made the terms longer. So it's something they've been working on for a couple of years, but you know, they just get so busy, and then the board staff told me how many boards and commissions they have, and I don't want to throw out a number because I'm probably so wrong, but it was an astronomical number. It was really kind of mind-bending how much these fairly new staff people were having to get their arms around and communicate with everybody and get recruitments out and all that. So I do empathize with their situation. I'm trying to organize this. I think my next suggestion is going to be, could they maybe just split off? One of the things I did ask this year was if they could look at, when they pass the resolution, build into it, at least for Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment, some sort of an overlap. Like, don't make it that day. You know, don't make it effective that day. Even if they appoint new people, try to put a transition period in there of 30 days or something, so that the new members can come and observe and kind of get some training, you know, before they have to hit the ground running with reading staff reports and looking at codes and comp plans and all that. And I think the whole process just got ahead of them. So I think my next request may be asking them if they would be willing to sever appointments for these 2 boards from all their other citizen boards and commissions, and maybe do it a different time of year. And maybe that way it won't be quite so overwhelming, and we can build in some transition time.
You know, because to me, the only way to learn how to do this is to do it.
Yeah.
You can't read it. You can't sit down and read the comp plan from fore to after.
I mean, you can, but until you use it,
well, you can, but, you know, people like Randall, I mean, I think I've asked you a couple of times, are you feeling overwhelmed? Because I can even be overwhelmed, and I sometimes call Jason about where to look something up, because...
And honestly, we as a staff, I mean, we have weekly meetings on Wednesdays to discuss land development projects and code amendments and things like that. And we very often have to debate the code, like, what does this mean? What can this person do or not do? And it's not always easy, and that's why we're working on updating our code.
And that's why you're calling your attorney.
And we keep Bob super busy. He's very patient with us, or at least he acts very patient with us.
Well, if you can convey to the commissioners that we like it. We like everybody who's here, and we just like hold it for a while.
Because a couple of years ago, we had people that would come, and then they would leave, and it just was.
It's a tough job. Yeah, it's a tough job. So, well, thank you for your feedback, and as soon as we can get our arms around this, we'll do more communicating. And thank you so much to all of you.
Well, thank you, Jen. You and your staff are just amazing. I mean,
They're amazing.
amazing amount of work and help us when we're kind of a little bit undecided about certain things and don't want to go forward with certain motions. It's really helpful to have guidance from all of you.
No, because Jason found that thing back on.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
He's a good on-the-fly researcher.
Yeah. Like, you sure you want to do it different than that? You really think what you're doing. Maybe county's lucky to have such good folks working for it.
Well, thank you.
So.
We will share that with the staff. Thank you very much. And Catherine, before we get away, if we can just get your signature and initials.
You know,
No, we're going to have this dance.